Hey everybody, it's Mariana with Three Peaks Classroom. In today's episode, I want to share with you part 2 of my substitute teaching tips. On my channel, I have a video all about classroom management tips for when you are a substitute teacher, and it is one of my highly watched videos every week. And so I wanted to film a part 2, like a follow-up episode for more tips if you are planning to sub in the classrooms. If you are new to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Mariana. I am a grade 3 and grade 4 teacher here in Alberta, Canada, and I love to make helpful YouTube videos for other educators just like you, because you are an educator. All right, so let's just jump right in. These tips are just going to be in no particular order. I have them written down here on my laptop. The very first tip that I have for you is to always bring a lunch, even if you're only subbing for the morning. There's been many a time where a sub has come in for the morning in another classroom, and let's say I'm teaching in the classroom and I'm starting to not feel well and I want to go and take the afternoon off. I'll often go to that sub first and I'll say, hey, do you want to stick around for the afternoon in my classroom? I'm not feeling very well. So if you are a sub and you're planning to go in for just a morning, but your afternoon is available, bring a lunch. The next tip is to always try and email the classroom teacher the notes on how the day went, if you can. As a classroom teacher, I was always super anxious coming in the next day after having a substitute because I always wanted to know how did the class do and what was finished or what did the teacher manage to complete. And so if you can email the classroom teacher already, like the night before, it gives the teacher a better sense of, okay, I need to have a talk with my kids about respect, or wow, the kids did really well. I want to treat them to a movie or something in the class, or okay, they didn't quite get that assignment finished. I will make sure to plan that in my day to day, yada, yada. So emailing the teacher after the day, if you can, if you know the teacher's email, it is very incredibly helpful. Next tip, bring a whistle. Enough said. Treat EAs with respect. I know that sounds obvious, but it's not something that's commonplace, unfortunately. Those EAs are the ones that are in the classrooms day in and day out. They know the kids better than anybody else. And if you're coming into a classroom brand new, they're obviously the experts in how the day is run, what the procedures are, which kids can be trustworthy, which ones are troublemakers. So treat EAs with respect. I believe this one was mentioned in my previous video, but just in case, make sure you bring a backpack that has extra supplies in it. This is going to sound ridiculous, but bring a change of clothes. There's been a few times as a substitute teacher where something has spilled on me, either myself or a child has spilled something on me or vomited or whatever. Bring an extra change of clothes, keep it in your backpack. Bring an extra ball. It's handy to have a ball in the classroom so that you guys can toss around some ideas or things like that, or you can take it outside and you can play with it outside. That way you don't have to fumble around and go to the gym, go into the storage room, whatever. Grab a ball, change of clothes, bring extra read aloud stories. It's always good to have stories that you know personally because then you're more familiar with the book as well. Also, you might want to consider bringing some whiteboard markers. I know that sounds really basic, like, oh, the teacher should have some, but what if they're all dried up? Or what if you can't find the replacement ones? Just have one in your backpack. Then you know where it is in case one dries out and you don't have to fumble around looking for one. On that note as well, I would highly recommend that you bring an activity, like a spare activity that you can whip up in a moment's notice, but that's also related to the theme of the year that you're teaching. So if you're teaching right now, present day, it's in November, maybe you want to bring an activity kind of to do with, Remembrance Day, or maybe you have something that's to do with the winter theme. Having something like that on hand will alleviate a lot of stress because you have something in your back pocket ready to go for the class of students. Show up early, if for no other reason than just to sort out the technology that's in the classroom. We all know that technology and what is available in every school is vastly different, from computers and Chromebooks and iPads to smartboards to, Apple TVs to document cameras to whatever. Like there's so much technology, which is awesome. But as a substitute teacher, it can be quite daunting to figure it all out. I would show up early and read over the plans and just make sure that you have kind of everything figured out. Because if you don't, then you have time to ask somebody to help you. Oh, can you help me log into the computer? Or, hey, how do you guys do broadcasts in the mornings? Oh, I need to log into here. Okay, awesome. Just show up early so that you have a few minutes for peace of mind to sort out the technology. Please avoid parking in the staff parking lot. Teachers are habitual creatures. They like their designated or undesignated spots. They like to park in the same spot. And more often than not, people have designated parking because, they're office staff or they're the admin or whatever, or maybe they have mobility issues and so they were designated that spot. You do not want to be the substitute teacher that comes in and parks in someone else's designated spot. So just a good rule of thumb, if you are the substitute teacher, just don't park in the parking lot unless the teacher specifically lists in the notes, hey, this is my parking stall, feel free to park in it. Great, you were given permission. Otherwise, just stay out of the parking lot. Next tip is to make sure that you know where the emergency binder is located and the procedures that you need to follow for the emergency drills. So I know in my district, we have to practice 3 fire drills and 3 lockdowns before the winter kind of hits. And then before the end of the school year, we have to practice another 3 fire drills and 3 lockdowns. So it's a lot. It can be quite a lot. So as a substitute teacher, just make sure you are super ready to go and you are very familiar with emergency procedures in the classroom. Another simple tip is to write your name on the board. Keep it up on the board so the kids know how to call you. You can introduce yourself at the beginning of the class, but if they forget how to call your name, it'll be kind of awkward. So introduce yourself, say, hey everybody, my name is Mrs. Diaz. You can call me Mrs. D. I'll write it on the board. And then if you hear the EA, if there's an EA in the classroom and you want to remember their name as well, you can also write their name as well. So you can say, hey, Mrs. Diaz and Miss Deborah, we're going to be your teachers today in the classroom, yada, yada, yada. So the names are on the board. Nobody forgets. You'll notice that I just said teachers, you, the substitute teacher, and the EA. I call every adult in the classroom a teacher. I also actually refer to my students as teachers as well because we teach each other all the time. But just for simplicity's sake, myself and any other adults in the classroom, I call us teachers. And that's another tip I have for you. Don't refer to yourself as a substitute teacher. You are a teacher. You have the same credentials as the classroom teacher, albeit they might have a master's or whatever. Maybe you do as well. Bottom line is you both have the same basic teaching degree as well. So introduce yourself as the teacher for the day. A few more tips that I have for you, and then I'll wrap up this video, is don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that sounds simple and obvious, but a lot of teachers don't. Even just a regular classroom teacher, a lot of teachers are afraid to ask for help because they're afraid of seeming inadequate. And that's not the case. You want to seem prepared and you want to seem confident. And so you can easily go and ask the teacher across the hall, say, hey, I really want to make sure that my lesson or my day goes smoothly, but I'm not sure about this. Could you please help me out? That's very confident. You are aware that you need help and you're going to ask for help. Hands down, that is the best way to make sure that your day goes smoothly. I also like to ask the students in the class, I'll say, hey, I'm not sure how this is done. Is there anybody that's an expert that can help me? As soon as you use that word expert, it's like, boom, 5 hands go up in the air because they want to seem like an expert in front of their peers. Just like the bring a whistle and don't even question about it, don't show a video in the class unless you've previewed it. Even if the teacher has linked it for you, don't assume that the teacher has previewed it. Before you start your teaching day, hopefully you've arrived early, like in the tips, and you've sorted all out your technology. Just really quickly skim through the video and make sure that it's appropriate. There was a news article recently, I can't remember where it was, somewhere in the States, a teacher was showing a Winnie the Pooh Halloween video to a class of grade 4 students, and yeah, it was not an appropriate Winnie the Pooh video. It was like a Winnie the Pooh massacre or something like that. Yeah, just don't show a video unless you've previewed it. Okay? Okay. All right. And my final tip, I'll repeat it here because I did a whole video on it previously, is make sure you have your class management system honed in. And I know that's easier said than done, but as you are learning how to substitute teach, just reflect on what works and what doesn't work. And something that works for me time and time again is the end of the day prize raffle system. So I have just literally scrap pieces of paper cut up. I have them in my pocket. And as I'm teaching, if somebody's on task or if somebody answers something correctly or tries to answer something correctly, I'll just literally slip them a piece of paper and I'll say, hey, that's awesome. Write your name. And then I'll go around and I'll say, oh, awesome. I'm so glad that you were ready first. Here you go. Or thanks for trying. I'm really glad that you put your hand up. Boom. Give them a piece of paper. They're going to write their name. They're going to walk up to the front of the class and put it in the bucket that you have. And then at the end of the day, or you could do it twice. You could do it once for the morning and once for the afternoon. You're going to raffle off, pick a name, and you're going to say, oh, awesome, Jessie. Yes, you won my chocolate bar. Here you go, my friend. and you give them a chocolate bar. Or if you don't want to do treats like candy, you can do Play-Doh, here's a ball, whatever. Yes, you'll have to fork over a little bit of money to make sure that you have the prizes. But honestly, if it means that your classroom management and your day runs smoothly, I think a couple bucks is worth it. So there you go. Those are my supplementary substitute teaching tips in a nutshell. I don't even remember how many I said. I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That way YouTube will share this video with other educators as well. And so other teachers will see the tips and hopefully it'll help them out as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel where I come out with weekly videos all about teaching. Thanks everybody for being here. I'll hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.